I ask you a question? Are you ready to get and keep momentum in your business? I hope so, because it's Penny Elliott here, your host to having the perfect mix of the woo with the do. If you're ready to create the life that you want through a business designed by you, then tune in. Okay, so welcome to Get Momentum for Online Entrepreneurs podcast with me, Penny Elliott, your host. This is the show where we match the woo with the do. So it's your perfect mindset and strategy mix to have fast success in your online business so that you can finally live the life that you thought you would when you first set up your business. And we're kicking off the podcast with the Hit Refresh on 2020 Summit. And today I have the amazing Lisa with me. So welcome and thanks for joining. And I'm going to hand it over to you to introduce yourself. I met Lisa through not quite sure how you popped into my radar, but I've done one of your courses and Ready for Change, and it was fantastic. I thought, this is 4 weeks. We'll see how this goes. And really, it was the gentle hand that I needed to call BS on a lot of stories that I'm quite black and white about, and now they're quite grey. Thank you for highlighting that. And so I really wanted to bring you on and have you as one of the founding members for the podcast. So you can tell us what your professional bio is.
Oh my God, I hate that elevator pitch thing. For so many years, I was like, I'm Lisa Corduff. I help real women eat more real food in the real world. You know, I had a small steps business, so I got started in this whole online business thing, just teaching women literally like how to roast a chicken and how to put really simple ingredients together. But then I realized over the years, and I think through a lot of my own personal growth, that I could make food as simple as possible for women. But if in their heads they had stories and beliefs about not, this would never work for me. I don't know why I bother. I can't stick with anything anyway. Whole Foods is too hard. It's too expensive. Then they were just never going to do it. I would see women just go, oh, cool, thanks for the blueprint, and off I go. And I was like, what's the difference between them versus the people who are just like, I want this so bad, but blah, 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 blah. So,
but I couldn't find a chicken at the supermarket, and one was too big and one was too small and one was frozen and one was cooked. And so I didn't really know. So I got a chocolate bar.
Exactly. But we repeat these patterns, right? Like we just repeat this stuff. Like I'm a person who eats chocolate after dinner. I'm a this, I'm a that. And a lot of the work that I've done on myself, and you know it yourself with being in business, is you come up against yourself all the time. And in order to get to the next level, you have to look at yourself, look at what you believe about yourself, look at what you take to be true, and really, really ask yourself if these are truths or if they're just bullshit stories that are holding you back and stopping your growth. And so a lot of the work that I do with women now primarily is through my Ready for Change program, which is 4 weeks, as you said, but kind of makes it so easy for women to see exactly where these blocks are, what they've been telling themselves, and a really simple method for reprogramming those stories so that they can get about creating the life that they actually want to live. So yeah, I do that.
That was a long elevator ride. Obviously, we're going to the top of the Sky Tower or the Shard or something for you to be able to tell us that.
I know. I'm still, because the business pivoted, I'm still like, what do I do?
Yeah. I mean, and that's a great lesson for everyone that's listening, is that you don't have to have a 9-word elevator pitch to know your niche and to have a successful business, right? There are too many people spend too many sessions trying to, get that perfect, and then you'll do another course, join something else, and then all of a sudden it'll evolve. So don't get hung
constantly
up on
evolving.
What you do. Don't get hung up on that. Just be passionate and speak about it, just like you did. Great.
Back in 2016, I did a talk at Pro Blogger in Australia. I don't know if you ever came out for any of the Pro Blogger conferences. Really good. And I spoke about taking imperfect action. And because people were like, how are you making money off your food blog? I'm like, I just try stuff. I don't get too attached to anything in particular. I try stuff. I'm in momentum. And people are like, what? Whoa. So yeah, you don't have to have the perfect elevator pitch to be helping people.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so thank you. And that kind of leads into the next question anyway, because obviously we've had like an environmental upheaval, and I don't think there's anywhere in the history of the planet where everyone has been affected by one thing. So we've had wars, but some countries weren't involved, and then obviously we had 9/11, but some countries were like aware but not involved. But this is something that's affected every single country and planet, religion on the planet. And so I'd love for you to share with us and the audience about like, how are you, as we're sort of coming out the other side, how you're hitting refresh on 2020, because I know you had some live events that were going to be big as part of your like business plan for this year. So how are you reframing and hitting refresh on 2020 and kind of going forth?
I think I've had a head start on a lot of people in terms of coping with big changes. So last year, as you know, I went through a marriage separation, and then my husband actually died in September, and we talk about control and we talk about not knowing, and all we've got is now, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But like all of that stuff really brought home to me that we don't know what's going to happen, and ever. And so I feel like when this all started to go down, I was grieving a bit like everybody else. For this is finally the year that we're going to get out. We were literally about to put down a deposit for this event in Melbourne. We were planning a retreat, which still might go ahead. We're hoping still maybe November, but
in New Zealand.
No, but good idea.
Yeah.
And this was my first year of all three children being at school. And so it was like, I know.
It's like a day.
I've got 5 days a week for the first time in 9 years. And then I just didn't.
No.
And so
there goes the carpet.
Right. But this is the thing that I've learned. Entrepreneurship has taught it to me. My life events so far have taught it to me, is that things might not end up being the way you think that they're going to be, but where our unhappiness lies is between what's actually going on, like, so just being in that versus the story that we're telling ourselves about how it should be. So I started to work on my attachments. Okay, if 2020 was going to be the year of live events and we've geared up for this and blah, 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 what would it mean to just detach from that idea, come back to what's happening right now? And what happens is we can just sit in the possibility that exists always in the present moment. And so, there was things that we did as a team. And I'm so grateful that I've created a business. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned over the years of building a business with children, with a husband who was unwell for quite a long time, was the importance of outsourcing and building a strong team around you. Because what that did was it allowed me and it allowed them, when this went down, to just ease off a little. Just to there was no panic, there was no fear, getting into fear. I just thought it's going to be a waste of my energy and time. And so all that the business, the way that we pivoted was, I just was thinking, how can we serve? So what have we got? What can I say? How can I show up? Who do I need to be in order to serve this community who, my paid communities and also the free communities? And if we just let it be that for now and trust and just let go and surrender and trust that that's enough and everything's going to be okay, then that's what feels best. Yeah. And so we did. We took a big load off. Obviously, 3 children, homeschooled. I brought in some help So they're with a babysitter right now. And yeah, I let it be about service. I don't hustle all that much. I don't really believe in that anyway, but I was grateful to have built a team, grateful to be able to, reset. It was more like press pause.
Yeah. I love that surrender, and just let it be. Yeah, really important.
Well, I just think so many of us are out of tune with, like, we keep pushing when it's not time to push.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about pushing, someone's just busted into my office. Say hi.
Hi.
Hey. Yeah, you got to go back with your
so
nanny
cute.
now. Off you go. Hey. Whee! So surrendering is like a massive thing. Yeah, he's not used to it.
No.
He's like, what's going on? But I mean, and exactly that, like the next like set question, I guess, is if you could go back before lockdown, knowing what you know now, like what would you have changed? And I think I definitely probably speak for both of us that we probably would have got help in a lot earlier and realised that actually we don't have to do it all on our own. And actually being in lockdown made us realise that, oh, wow, like, something has to give. And so actually what would have been the thing if you knew now what you know now, what would you have implemented before lockdown?
I'm actually really proud of the way that the business has handled things. We were gearing down a little bit anyway because my OBM or integrator, whatever everyone calls it, she's my COO, really, the right hand in my business, just had a baby on Friday. Right. So there was so much that we had to get ready for her to just be able to chill. So I don't know, it sort of felt like perfect timing. For me, I think I probably would have bought less board games. Yep. But the kids and I, we had school holidays. I took them out of school a little bit earlier, then we had school holidays. And then I knew that I needed to have a bit of a line in the sand moment for myself, because I basically tuned out a lot from work. I was just showing up on socials. That felt enough for me. As I was getting we have to allow ourselves to process what the hell was going on. I knew that there needed to be a line in the sand moment between school holidays and the start of school term, so I could get back in the zone of work and they could get back in the zone of school. So I have an amazing family who babysits for us, and James comes in Mondays to Fridays 9 till 12, gets the schoolwork done with the kids. I'm not going to feel guilty that I'm not understanding everything that they're doing or on all the Zoom calls, none of that. Like, it's actually really important for my kids and me to have a little bit of time apart and for me to work on my business. And, people have wondered how I'm going. We walk the streets and people are asking, they're like, are you okay, like doing this on your own? Like, I don't ever think that solo parenting has to mean hardship. There's certainly hard days, but there is hard days for every single parent.
Yes.
And I am responsible. I'm absolutely responsible for making this as easy as possible for myself. So the business is doing well. We're gearing up for another launch because I'm giving myself the time and the space to actually do work, to earn revenue. So, income for the family, but not with stress, not with anxiety, just with now feels like a really good time to give people the opportunity to jump into this program, because it's all about actually change. So I'm glad we didn't go down that path of thinking no one's going to buy anything, or that's what I've heard from a lot of online business people, is it just feels wrong to sell. I don't think so, because I think there's so much value in what I teach, and when people are ready, they're ready and they jump in.
Yeah, and I also think that this situation throughout the world has really helped us all in the online space, because no one like we all knew what Zoom was and we all knew what Skype was, but
Yeah.
so many other people didn't know. Like I was kind of quite flabbergasted by the amount of people that had said, oh, we'll try the Zoom thing. And I was like, what? Why don't you have
Right.
a Zoom account? Like I've had that for years. And so you get caught up in this like bubble of thinking people know how an online business works or how to teach or learn or communicate with people online because
Yeah.
we're already immersed in it. But I think this has really forced a lot of people to look at the way that they have meetings and the way that they learn and the way that they absorb content, and it's all in benefit to all of us that
I
have an
totally
online
agree.
business.
I
Yeah.
mean, all those of us who have online businesses, we've been perfectly positioned to be okay through this. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm so
Yeah.
grateful back in the day that I decided to put out an e-course when I
Yeah.
had no idea what I was doing, because that's led me to this point. And now here we are, and everything's okay. Our business, we hit $1 million in revenue last year, and the business has doubled what it did in the first quarter. So from last year to this year, we've doubled what we did in that first quarter without
Congratulations.
any kind of like. But this is the thing: as long as we're just moving forward, learning the lessons, keeping on going, putting stuff out there, keeping ourselves in momentum, we will. I mean, it took me 5 years to get to the $1 million mark. I'm not saying it was a flash in the pan, and it's an expensive thing to run a business where you have a team and ads. I never ever want to paint that it's $1 million bloody
Yeah,
profit.
you're
It's
not just
not that
sitting
at all.
on,
No,
it's not all just hiding in the couch.
no.
It's like
Oh my God, no.
$100 notes.
No, but
Yeah.
I feel like, we had the bushfires here, all sorts of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And now we have this situation, and everything's still okay, because this style of business, we can serve people no matter what.
Mm.
And people can access this, as long as they've got an internet connection. I mean, the world will now catch up with online
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
And we've just been the people having a crack all
Yeah.
these years, and
Exactly.
that people often say to me, how do you actually make money?
Yeah, I know. Well, my mum was the same. She was like, how do you help people on the other side of the world? But now that
Yeah.
she's seen it on the news, like the cabinet ministers are all meeting on Zoom, it's kind of starting to sink in and becoming a new norm. So people know that they can actually move forward and get momentum in their business with someone on the other side of the world or in their life, So if you think back over your business, and you're going to love this question, because we love to cut through like all the BS and the stories that you tell yourself that stop you from getting momentum in your business. And I clearly remember a day that I was on my Swiss ball. I used to sit on a Swiss ball until I got so pregnant that I thought the ball was going to pop. And I was howling, I was crying, and I was crying so much that my cat just took off out of here. She was like, what is that noise? And it was because, I don't know, my Facebook ads hadn't worked and I didn't have enough people on my challenge. So therefore I wasn't going to sell enough people. And it was all just a big waste of time. And it was just, the whole world was falling down on me, which was clearly just a barrier, right? Clearly just a story. So has there been a situation that you could share with us in your business that you had to call bullshit on your stories that you could share with the listeners that they could learn from?
Yeah. And it's funny because, I worked with James Wedmore in his Inner Circle Mastermind for a few years. And it's just so ingrained in me now what he used to say about, like, you're either getting the result you want, or you're learning the lessons that you need to get the result you want. And it meant that nothing was wasted. Nothing was actually wasted, because I was just learning the lessons, and that's a valuable thing. And so there's that. So listening to you saying that, I'm like, you're learning the lessons. But I think the biggest story that I had to call bullshit on was about I can't grow success. Like, I can't grow my business. My business can't get bigger at the same time as I'm being a good mum.
Oh, so, hallelujah. I say that again. I think exactly that. I was like, you're either a good mum or you've got a growing business, and they can't do this, well, you saw he just came in. And I used to think, oh, I can't do that because that's like really unprofessional and I can't do that.
It's a total story.
Yeah.
And I sat in a hot seat and amongst all of these amazing entrepreneurs, and I sat there and I'm like, I just don't know how you guys do this, because like if I go to that next, I think the business at that stage was earning about $250,000 a year. And I was like, if I get bigger, like then it really matters to me that I'm a good mum. Good mum. I mean, there's so many stories just using that word, good mum. What is a good mum? Do you know what? If I hadn't called bullshit on that story, I don't know now where my children and I would be, because I needed to know that, for them to be like, oh yeah, mum's got a webinar on, or mum does this, mum does that. I mean, for them, my daughter said, like, just the funniest things end up coming out. I was taking my youngest started school this year, and we were driving to school. She was upset. She's had some separation anxiety stuff happening. And my son said to her, because I was saying, I know it's hard, but you can do this. And she said, and she was like, I don't want to go. And he said, well, think about it. Mum gets very nervous when she does webinars, and she still does them. And it's because I'm always like, oh, you guys, I feel nervous because tonight's a really important night. And this is just me trying to get them in bed because I just need them to be down and asleep and not hassle me. There's been so many times since going solo that they haven't been able to get to sleep, or they've come in but what they've taken away is mum does hard things. She gets nervous and yet she still does it. So and I've been able to grow something where I can pick them up and drop them off from school every day. And to them, that's actually really valuable. And that we can go on holidays together, and that their dad can, I mean, he wasn't working for a few years, and then he passed away, but they're still secure, they're still safe, they're still okay, and that will form part of their story. I mean, my kids tell me that they want to go to New York because they've heard of me going to New York for mastermind retreats and stuff like that. So it is a total story. They need us to be our best selves, and that is what being a good mum to me means. Am I honoring Lisa? Am I following her path? Am I growing and expanding? Loving my children is the thing that requires no effort. I mean, it's just a given, I will always show up for them, but I can honor myself too.
Okay, so that's great. So everyone listen to that. Like, you need to honor yourself first to be able to be the best version for your family, for your business, for your clients, for anyone. And that comes down to really taking the time for yourself and doing what's right for you. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. My mum puts a lot of pressure on me to be a full-time mum because that's what she was. Although in my eyes, she was always outside on the farm, like feeding animals and doing all that stuff. And I wanted her to like read books and play inside with me, but she hates reading books. She's read mine though, so I must give her kudos to that. And she never sent me to any daycare or anything. And I think about the relationship I have with her, and it's not bad, but it's not amazing either. And I went overseas to London for 9 years and only came back twice in 9 years.
Wow.
So I wonder, I keep thinking, well, there's the balance, right? She like had me for 5 years before I went to school, and then I left for 9 years later on. So I'm pretty sure that it all balances out in the end.
I think it's look, I don't know. I think we have to be careful of projecting our own stuff onto our children. I think if the generational stories and that mother line is strong. And I watched my mum, she watched her mum kind of sacrifice, martyr a little bit
I'm your mum.
Everyone else matters. I'm okay if I will literally work myself into the ground so everyone else is okay.
Yeah.
And as women now, we get to reprogram. We get to cut that generational loop, because I actually don't want my girls to be thinking that their life is just about making everyone else happy and they don't get to explore the amazingness that they are, No, that won't be the way that it is for them. But it's a really hard, it's codependence basically. Like, I'm happy if you're happy, I'll do everything that I need to do. And like, codependence is a big problem that I help so many women with. They don't even realize that they are, but their self-worth is wrapped up in how well they are showing up for other people and how okay those other people are. But what happens if those people aren't okay? What happens if you can't make it better? Are you a piece of shit? No. No. Your self-worth is not tied up in anything external. It's just intrinsic to you. So I keep thinking that what my kids need to see is me showing up for myself, honoring like my own need for rest, being able to communicate to them when I need that, showing emotions and having it be okay to show emotions in front of children and talk through them, being responsible for my own triggers and working out at what point I'm starting to get a bit going down that path of like, no, they're not responsible for fixing that. They're just kids. They're going to always be kids. So I got to be responsible for that myself. And so many parenting lessons can be applied to our business as well. Like, it's not the Facebook ads. It's not the landing page. It's not all of these things that or a successful launch that gives us that feeling that we're okay. Like, there's so much codependence with our business. If my business is thriving, then I'm awesome. Your business is not going to thrive all the time. And so what are you going to make that mean for yourself? You choose. Because, entrepreneurship, business ownership is like a roller coaster.
Oh, and so much.
And we have to detach from that meaning anything about ourselves or having our self-worth wrapped up in the success of our business.
100%. When I was crying on the Swiss ball, it was probably because like Amy Porterfield was doing a huge launch and throwing like $250,000 worth into Facebook ads, and I was targeting her same audience, and it was just really unfortunate timing. Like, it needs to be as simple as things.
Like, and you get to make meaning. You get to make that a disaster, or you go, oh my gosh, okay, next time sort of start watching Amy Porterfield a bit closer when she's leading into pre-launch.
Exactly.
But these things happen. They happen all the time.
And so you kind of touched on this already, but like, what legacy are you wanting to create and leave in this online space?
I have a business mastermind. So part of the legacy is also helping other women be the light that they need to be for the world. There's huge ripple effects. I love, as you know, I love helping other business owners get their stuff out there and be the biggest version of themselves. But the way that I think about my business is like, I see a globe and it's sort of dark, and then just these little lights start going on everywhere. And those lights are just, that's the vision in my head. And I just think the more that I can help people and teach them that they're literally making up the reasons why they can't do the things that they say they want to do. If I can help women free themselves from the subconscious stories that are keeping them stuck and repeating these patterns, then that's another little light. And that's another little light. And I
can see that. I can see that. I can see all the lights going ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding, ding, and like the whole world lighting up.
Yeah, that's my vision.
And then that brings us right back to the beginning, because there's your elevator pitch. I light the world up. One woman at a time.
Okay, yeah, that works. Right,
there you go. Perfect. All right. Well, you are very, very good at Instagram stories, and you've got your own podcast, which is awesome. I have done lots of runs listening to you and always indulge in your stories. So tell the listeners where they can find you, and how they can follow you.
where the podcast is Conversations with Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just conversations with interesting people, really, or just listening to me ramble on about something or other. And then my Facebook and Instagram are both just Lisa Corduff. So yeah, and my website is also lisacorduff.com, and they can go there, look through all the past podcast episodes, grab a little freebie. We've got
which one have you got?
Well, what I'm sharing at the moment is there's just this brilliant way, brilliant sort of visual way, a really practical exercise that people can do if they're feeling really overwhelmed, to just prioritize what's important. And this has been something that I've shared for many, many years, and people always come back to me and say, I'll never forget glass balls. So if you want to find out what glass balls are, then go to lisacorduff.com, and it's a 4-minute video and it's really handy. So
yeah. Perfect. I'm going to go and have a look at that now too, because I can't wait to, that conjures up all sorts of images. I must be honest.
Yeah.
Classic. Okay, well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Everything will be in the show notes. Make sure you jump onto Conversations with Lisa, and also head over to Instagram stories, because there are some hilarious moments on there. And I really love the fact that, and I want everyone to take away from this all the great, takeouts, but the other major thing I think that is so endearing to you is that you had a super successful raw food, helping women with something quite like food, right? And then you were like, well, hang on a moment, this is not quite working, what's going on? And you've really changed your business focus completely away from that, and still been super, super successful. And so many people think, oh, well, I've built this, I must keep grinding away at it. And you're just a real shining light and beacon to show people that everything's a lesson, and you can just take what you learned in that business and blow it up somewhere else. So really
I think I mean, it took me a while to find the clarity, but the lesson really, and for your listeners, is you have to allow your business to evolve along with you, because entrepreneurship is like the fast track to personal development. And if you're not serving at your highest self, then it's a disservice to everyone. And everything flows when you're aligned with your message. And so for me, I needed to honor that there was something new coming through. It was a bit risky, but it also led to our best year ever.
There you go. Hear that, people. It was a bit risky, but at least led to your best year ever. And because often everyone will have heard me say, people buy people. And if you're not aligned, that people don't buy products and services and like all your great masterminds and ready for change and all of your other things that you do, people buy people. And if you're not aligned, people smell that and they're like,
oh, they do. They do.
I'm not quite sure. I'm going to go and find someone else who's a bit more sure.
Yes. And authenticity and integrity are two core values for me. And when you're out of integrity with your business, when you feel, then it doesn't work. It just doesn't work as well. I knew the funnels, I knew the model, I knew how to talk it, I knew all of those things, and I could have kept doing it and kept growing it and just scaling it. But for me, it was more important for me to be able to show up as the highest version of Lisa, and I wanted to have a new conversation. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast, and make sure you guys all go and hit up Lisa and find out about those glass balls. I'm going to go there now.
Thanks, Penny.
All right. Wow. What an amazing episode. Thanks for tuning in. And if you loved the Woo with the Do and want to dive deeper into how you too can get and keep momentum in your business, then please join us at pennyelliottgroup.com/consistent clients for the live training this month. It's going to be super juicy, as I'm giving you access to the only 3 daily habits and mindset tweaks you need to have consistent clients in your business forevermore. Come and join us.